Rev up your engines!
Well, Ford Motor Company is eliminating 3,000 jobs. Most of them are in North America. And it's their CEO saying, we got to get lean and mean because now we're fat and lackadaisical. So they're cutting 3,000 jobs. Now, realize these are all white-collar, salaried jobs. They can't get rid of the guys building the cars. They got enough problems getting enough people to even build the cars these days. So they can't cut the people that are making them. But finally, they're realizing, gee, maybe we have too many white-collar workers here. That reminds me of my father-in-law, who was vice president of Occidental Petroleum. He told me one time, he said, Scotty, I could fire 80% of the people in this office and it would run better. Said the only problem is one of them is the boss's son. So that's not going to happen, right? They plan on firing 2,000 salaried positions and 1,000 agency jobs. Everybody knows corporations are bloated. I mean, I remember one time I was invited to a Shell research center outside of Houston, Texas, right? And I said, how many engineers work here? And they said, there's like 5,500 engineers working in this building complex. And I'm like, do you really need 5,500 engineers? Couldn't you do it with like 500? Or maybe even 50? 5,500 engineers. Of course, it was overkill. I mean, what are these people doing all day long? When I was there, I was making a video, right? And they all heard me. They all got off their desk and were watching me. So, oh, look at Scotty. They didn't have anything to do, so they came to watch me, right? And they were getting paid good salaries, so there is so much over hiring a lot of these places. What's the thing of Ford? They're supposed to build vehicles and sell them, right? You really need all this white-collar infrastructure? I don't think they do. I think it's a smart move on their behalf. Finally, they're not firing the blue-collar guys who build the cars. They're firing the white-collar guys that sit around and wonder, should we make this car? Should we make that car? Oh, gee, is our sales going good? Wise move if you ask me. Now they just have to pick up their quality control. I got those Broncos with the engines that are exploding them and eating valves, so maybe they're taking a turn for the better now. Well, the main reason they're doing it is because their stock is down, way down. This year, 2022, their stock's down 27%. Last time I checked, it was $15.10 a share. That's peanut money. You know, shake things up to try to get the stock coming back up. But I think it's a smart move. Get rid of all this chaff you don't need. Do you really need all this cream on the top? Nah, probably not. The National Highway Traffic Safety Association is investigating the Ford Bronco engine failures now. Now, granted, they're selling a lot of these Broncos, but a whole bunch of them with the V6 engines are eating valves. It says the 2021 Broncos that have the 2.7 liter EcoBoost V6. What happens is the valves of the engine on the top let the air in and out and get rid of the exhaust are falling into the engine and breaking the engine. A rather gigantic catastrophe for brand new engines with very little miles on them. I hate to see what's going to happen to these things when they get some heavy duty mileage on them. Engines aren't supposed to fall apart for hundreds of thousands of miles. These things are breaking super early. Now they're trying to blame it on the valve keepers. That's the part that holds the valves in there breaking and falling out. They don't know if it's the valve keepers or if the valves were made wrong, but obviously it was a gigantic screw up. This isn't an investigation into the engine itself. It's just in the Broncos. It's kind of odd. Now, of course, since it's 2021, the majority of these will be under the 60,000 mile powertrain warranty, so the engine breaks. Ford's got to fix them for free anyways, but they'll probably have to do a deal where they'll extend the warranty. If these things are breaking before they get 60,000 miles on them, I can imagine a whole bunch are going to break after 60,000 miles. And as usual, here's my advice. Let's say you own one, you got a problem, report it to the National Highway Traffic Safety Association, NHTSA.gov. You can go in there and complain, and the more people complain, eventually it'll probably turn into a recall. They have to recall every single one of them. It's unheard of that a vehicle's that new, 1 year old, and the engines are blowing up already. This shows lack of quality control these days. Lack of quality. They're making more and more complex engines, V6 engines, with GDI fuel injection, insane extra pressure inside the engine, and they don't hold up. Like I say, you can buy a car, you're better off getting a non-turbo, non-GDI car. It's going to last longer. Jay Panada says, I got a 97 Altima. My voltage goes up and down. It starts okay. The battery voltage voltage is 14.5, and after 5 to 10 minutes, it drops down to 9 volts or less. Sometimes it goes again to 14.5. I checked and cleaned all grounds. Battery is new and alternator is new. New doesn't mean diddly squat these days. What I would do is find a guy like me, have him load test the battery and the alternator. You said all the grounds and the wires are tight, so it's not bad. My bet just off the cuff would be the alternator isn't any good because you have a 97 Altima, it's old as the hills. You put a, in quotes, new alternator. Almost all of them aren't new. They're remanufactured or rebuilt, and they're garbage. I'd say on those old Nissans, 1 out of every 3 rebuilt alternators weren't good right out of the box. I had one guy with one. He bought 6 of them. I kept putting them on. I said, why don't you go buy a new one? Then he bought a new one. After buying 6 rebuilts, the new one worked perfectly fine. So odds are it's your alternator. Have a guy like me load test. You probably find out the alternator is the fault, especially being that old. If it is the alternator, try to find a new one. In this case, get a new Chinese one. You know, you can't get a new dealer one. They don't sell them anymore for something that old, but you can usually get new Chinese ones, and they're generally okay. Especially, say, if you get a new Chinese one, say, at an AutoZone, they give you a lifetime warranty, so then if it breaks, you get a new one free, and you don't have to pay for it a second time. Jerry Walker says, what scan tool should I get? There's 4 main types of scanners I know. OBD2, 4 system scanners that do 4 systems, all system scanners, and bidirectional scanners. Which should I get? Well, how far do you want to go, and how much do you want to pay? That's what it comes down to. There are decent OBD2 scanners out there that just do the basic reset, tell you what the check engine light is, give you a little bit of data. You can get those for as little as $30, and they can do that decent enough. That's as far as you want to go. Most 4 system scanners, you're going to start at about $150. If you're willing to spend up to $150, there's some really good ones. You ever ask me? There's a bunch of them out there. I can tell you the pros and cons of each one of them. Now, all system scanners, they start to get more expensive. All system scanners, the decent ones start at around $400 to $500. If you want to spend that kind of money, like I say, there's pros and cons of all kinds of different ones out there. I've tried out hundreds of them, right? I could tell you for your car, because some cars, they were good for some, not for others. That you'd have to ask me personally because it's so involved. The last thing is bidirectional scanners. Those are the ones that not only can they scan everything, but you can do a bunch of bidirectional testing. Now, of course, those come in a variety of range. I have $1,300 bidirectional scanners that are okay, and I have $7,000 ones that are insane, that do all kinds of stuff, like my ThinkScan that I have that the pros use. I doubt if you're going to spend $7,000, right? And even those depend on what model you want to work on. If you're going to do a Mercedes-Benz or a BMW, you got to buy one that is made just for them because they're so particular and they got so many bidirectional testing. Even my $7,000 one, you're not going to be happy with. So you realize, what do you want to get? What do you want to pay for? And you go from there. Timbo says, I got a PO420 code on my 2016 Jeep Patriot, 2.4 liter engine. Catalyst system below efficiency on bank 1. Jeep dealer says a new catalytic converter costs $1,000. What can I do? Try cleaning it first. When they're inefficient, sometimes they're slightly clogged. There's catalytic converters you can buy, put it in the gas tank, drive it, see if it fixes it. I've seen them fix it. Give that a try. My friend Bernie sells the best cleaner I ever found, called ATS, Automotive Test Solutions. It's Albuquerque, New Mexico. Just Google. He has a fuel cleaner. You pour it in your gas tank and it cleans the heck out of stuff. That might fix it. And if it does, great. They want $1,000, the dealer, right? Go to any muffler shop. Price around. See the best price you get. I can guarantee you get a better price than that. Catalytic converters, they're not all that super expensive on a Jeep. It's just that they're selling you a dealer one. They rip you off. Muffler shops do that kind of stuff all the time. You can go there, get it cheaper. But try cleaning it first. Clean them off and fix it. And the can's only $30. You can fix it for $30. Wouldn't you be happy? Wouldn't you be buying me a birthday present in October for helping you out? Dodge Grady says, I got a hole in my air suspension rear airbag. Is it possible to patch a small puncture in a Jeep quadralift rear air spring by using a heavy-duty tire patch? Some guys do it. What do you think? I doubt if it would work because you got the airbags, right? Those are holding it up. You put more air in it, less, whatever you want. When you hit bumps, all the weight of the vehicle's pushing against the airbag. That's a ton of pressure. You put on a patch, it will probably rip. I've seen guys try it, and they all failed. Now, if you could find some kind of a heat vulcanization patch where you'd get it on and somehow heat it on and vulcanize the patch to the rubber, maybe. But, I mean, let's face the facts. Got a hole in it now. Why does it have a hole in it now? Obviously, somehow it ripped. That means the rubber's probably crappy to begin with. They probably built it poorly and it'll rip someplace else. But I mean, if you get a vulcanization patch, I wouldn't put much faith in it though. I really wouldn't. Because all that weight, you hit bumps and you're on a Jeep Overland, you're probably taking it off-road, it'll probably just pop again. That's what I tell people. You're going to drive things off-road, expect to spend a ton of money fixing suspension parts because they're going to be a break-in. As you go over the big rocks and they go a lot further up and down than they will on a normal road, and things will start snapping off. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.